Welcome to the Gary Null Show, a program designed to enhance mental, physical, and spiritual well-being through science and the wisdom of the ages. Let us take you on a journey of empowerment. Sit back, relax, and get ready to change your life for good.
Hi everyone, I'm Gary Null. Once again, we take our cameras around the world in search of answers to major health questions. A really big question is, how did we end up with Gulf War syndrome? What are its implications for the family members who are now saying that they also are suffering from the symptoms, not just the service personnel who were in the Gulf? What does the Pentagon, the Defense Department, the Veterans Administration, what does it know that it's not willing to share with us? Were there secret AIDS experiments, as some claim? Were they given a completely worthless vaccine for a biological warfare agent? What about the people that didn't even go to the Gulf but got vaccinations and end up Gulf War syndrome? Couldn't have been from something in the Gulf. We're going to try to find answers to these very perplexing questions. I'm Gary Null. Join me now for our continuing exploration of Gulf War syndrome, a deadly legacy.
The 3rd of March was when Schwarzkopf and Franks was notified that this bunker in Iraq had chemical agents in it, and there was a blister casualty from it. The 4th of March, the day after this was gone through the system, was when Camisea, the bunkers, was blown up. That should never have occurred. They should have stopped all demolitions. They should have sent NBC teams in to do sampling. They should have made an overt effort to protect the troops. They didn't. They have lied ever since, and they have kept all that information secret. This information is now coming forward, and they're going to have to answer for it. I want some answers. The veterans deserve some answers. The spouses that these people brought this stuff home to need and should be able to demand answers from these people, and something should be done about it.
Was the demolition carried out recklessly? Pentagon officials have asserted that the obliteration of the Iraqi bunker was supervised by experts trained in chemical warfare. But according to several U.S. service personnel who were present at the scene, this was not the case. According to Corporals Brian Martin and Chris Tullius, whose recollections of the detonation have been corroborated by their executive officer, Major Randy Riggins, chemical specialists were never present, and testing that was supposedly conducted prior to and after the demolition of the bunker did not occur. Martin, who had videotaped the entire proceeding at the bunker, revealed that chemical detection devices were not even taken out at the site, while Riggins indicated that his troops did not examine the inside of the bunkers because the entrances had been mined by the recently departed Iraqis. According to Riggins, the enormous explosion of the detonation caused a downpour of debris to fall upon himself and his troops. Riggins recalled that the immensity of the blast had triggered chemical detector alarms at engineer camps 10 miles away. Unfortunately, the servicemen present at the depot were not provided with ample warning, and consequently their exposure to toxic fallout has since resulted in numerous reports of chronic disorders within the unit.
The DoD didn't acknowledge to us that our troops were exposed to chemicals. The CIA basically covered up this fact from us, our committee, for a long period of time. And it was only when we had a soldier who had come in and had actually a video of our troops blowing up a depot, Camisea, and showing the films of the shells, the rockets, the chemical notation on some of the weapons. It was only then that at 4 o'clock on a Friday before our Tuesday hearing that the DOD hastily called a press conference to acknowledge that maybe approximately 900 of our troops were exposed. Then they increased it to over 1,000, then 5,000, and then around 10,000, then around 20,000. It kept growing and growing. And then we learned that maybe some of the biological and chemical plants that we blew up, that the plumes from those explosions went towards our troops, not away from our troops. And now they're acknowledging that it was low level, but possibly our 100,000 plus of our troops were exposed to that kind of exposure.
Where the cloud from Conestoga went, I don't know. And I think all the best models in the world can't say for sure. I know that the chemical alarms went off on numerous occasions, and after a while, we had just been told so many times to take off our masks, we never even bothered to put them on.
You have the rather less sensitive equipment that our soldiers would carry with them into the theater, and then that would trigger off a concern, and then you'd bring in the Fox equipment, which is really specialized equipment where our soldiers don't even get out of the equipment. They can go in these vehicles and they can test for all different types of exposure. And we had testimony from one soldier who said, I was trained in this. This wasn't a casual training that I received. This was my business. And under oath saying our troops were exposed. And then having others say, well, no, the soldier is mistaken. Well, I believe our soldier.
One of the more serious allegations concerning Gulf War syndrome is the use of unapproved, untested vaccines. The widespread use of experimental vaccines during Desert Storm has often been cited as a possible cause of Gulf War syndrome. Often agents that we think innocuous turn out to be harmful. The established procedures of vaccination were ignored. Normally, only one inoculation should be given at a time, but the military insisted on giving multiple shots at once, which, according to Dr. Garth Nicholson, an expert in the area, is the worst thing you can do because it suppresses the immune system.
A vast array of vaccines were administered to the troops. It would be impossible, without having a list here with me, to read you even those specific ones that the government admits to having administered. But they run the gamut everywhere from pertussis, whooping cough. Can't imagine why we would think that Saddam Hussein would infect our troops with whooping cough, all the way through to plague and many, many other things in between. This is not to say that some of the vaccines that were administered would not be necessary to the likes of you and I if we were traveling under normal circumstances to certain parts of the world. But again, we come back to the question of the excessive number of vaccines that were administered in a very short period of time, and administered rather indiscriminately, it would appear, to given groupings with no rhyme or reason for it.
I feel the immune and neurological damage that I was exposed to includes chemicals, vaccines, being that we had a multitude of vaccines, and a vaccine that I still have not gotten the answer of what it is, the ISG shot, which was not the same as IgG shots.
The gamma globulin shots are not listed on Gulf Link as having been given, and yet $1.5 million was spent on them. And the number to be vaccinated was 260,000.
I was alerted for the war August 3rd, and we started receiving vaccines then, gamma globulin shots, yellow fever, typhoid, everything that they usually give you to go overseas. During the war, though, I received anthrax and botulinum, and then pyridostigmine bromide, which was 330 milligram tablets a day.
When you start to get into the story of the Gulf War illnesses, you learn that a lot of things weren't done properly.